Before we get sewing, we have a few markings that we need to make in the fabric, such as these notches here, which you just snip like that. Circles like this, you mark. We're doing view B, so we need that, and I'm a size 8, so we mark this one. You put transfer paper in like that, and then just a bit, and you have your dot there. The first step says to stay stitch the edges of the bodice piece, that's this. Stay stitching means that we're going to stitch a 1/2 inch along the cut edge of the piece in the direction of the arrows in the instruction. In this case, the arrows are going down like that. Stay stitching is mostly to stabilize the piece so that it keeps its shape. The notches that we made on the bodice front line up with the notches that we made on the bodice side front pieces. So you pin those together on either side, and then you fit the curve into the side of the bodice and pin that down. And then you sew it together with a 5/8 inch seam. When you're sewing a garment, be careful not to sew it on itself, otherwise you will end up having to rip out a seam, which is what I'm doing right now. And it's not very pleasant at all. In fact, it's really tedious. And I'm working backwards, so that's not fun. So yeah, be careful of that. Don't do that. This is also a great time to remind everybody that this is my learning process and I am new to this. So yeah. Now that I've sewn this properly, what we need to do is get it to lay flat. So we have clipped here along the curve of the seam, and now I'm going to press it so that it lies flat like that. The next piece in the instructions is the shoulder strap. So I've made all my little dots and I need to fold it in half and make a 3/8 inch seam. Now that I've sewn the seam, I need to turn it inside out. That's what this is for. It's a turner. Now I have my straps all turned the right side out and pressed, and I have basted them to the front of the bodice using the dots we made earlier as a guide of where to baste them. Basting is really loose, sloppy stitching that you're going to take out later, so it doesn't matter if it happens to be bright red. I also have the bodice back pieces pinned and ready to sew attached to the bodice side. It has been a slightly frustrating sewing day because we've had a few seams that needed to be ripped out and redone, and we've had some technical difficulties with this sewing machine, and now it's dinner time, so I'm going to take a break and continue sewing at another date. But as you can see, despite the difficulties, we have something that is beginning to look like the bodice of a dress. So that's good. I will see you later for part 3 of my sewing adventure.